Hey everyone and welcome. In today's guide, you'll be learning how to properly position yourself and utilize angle advantage to win every single gunfight in Valorant. We'll be covering tips you can use that will absolutely outsmart the enemy team, positions that will grant you an easy engagement that you're guaranteed to win, and you'll learn the best positions you can use to get more kills and carry your team to victory. With that being said, let's jump right into it. First off, before we even start talking about positioning, we need to talk about angle advantage. One of the Riot employees, Tuxedo, has posted a fantastic image on Twitter that represents this concept. What angle advantage essentially means is you can actually see player models earlier or later based on how close you are to the angle you're about to peek. You can see in the left side of the image here that the blue player is closer to the wall while peeking and the red player is further away from the wall. Because the red player is further away, they can actually see more than the blue player, and as a result, they will be able to react quicker and shoot the blue player down. Likewise, in the right side of the image, you can see that the blue player is tucked in the corner of the wall and the red player is tucked in the opposite wall. Since the red player is further away from the angle where blue is, they'll be able to spot the player first and again react quicker and have a better chance of getting the kill. Angle advantage is something that is prevalent all across the maps. For example, let's say you're playing on the attacker side and you're pushing into B site on ascent from garage. Often the player will hide in the cubby to the right of the site, and this is an area that's often underlooked and can catch your team off guard as they try to push left onto the site without checking if a player is there. Now you want to check this position, but you want to check it properly using angle advantage. Instead of peeking this angle close up, you want to move far away from it, giving yourself the largest angle advantage possible. This will allow you to see a bit more of the enemy model, and you'll be able to see the enemies a touch earlier than when they can see you. And if we slow things down and look at the cubby player's point of view, you can see that I can barely see Phoenix's head, but he actually can fully see mine and can land an easy headshot onto me before I can even see their head and shoot at it. So this is what angle advantage is. The closer you are to a wall or corner, the less you'll be able to see, and the further away you are, the more you'll be able to see. It's important to think about angle advantage as we go through the different positions that you can play. You can see in this clip from Radiant player Asu where he stays just an inch or two away from the corner to his right to ensure his vision isn't blocked and he can see the enemies as early as possible. From there, he actually then backs into the wall as he prepares to go for a peek into sewers, but then he's interrupted by Cypher's camera. To give another example, you can see Asu again sticking to the wall behind him at Heaven to ensure he can increase his vision and take advantage of angle advantage to give the best chance of grabbing a kill in mid or male. After doing this for a while, he decides to get aggressive and pushes male after smoking it off. During this push, he continues to stay as far back against the wall as possible to ensure he maximizes his view, and he ends up grabbing a kill onto the enemy Cypher. Now that we know what angle advantage is, I want to provide the golden rule that you can use to determine if a position is good or bad. First off, regardless of where you're playing, make sure you're in a position where you can get a good peek onto the enemy, but where you can also have an easy way of running away from. You don't want to be in a position where you're wide open and have no escape route from. An example of this is being wide out in front of A-Long on ascent. An enemy can easily peek you and you either win the aim duel or you don't and you have no walls or objects to cover yourself. The golden rule for a good position is it needs to have a small angle that you're peeking, and it needs to have objects and walls that will allow you to run away after shooting down an enemy. This way, regardless if you win the fight or you shoot and miss, you have an escape route. You can see in this new position, I'm holding A-Long with my rifle. I can see the enemy and get an initial engagement. But if a kill doesn't occur right away, I can retreat to this box. From here, I can move to another position or stay here and peek again. To give a more advanced example of this rule, we can go back to our earlier clip with Asu where he uses angle advantage to peek into market and sewers. This angle actually works out really well with his smoke, as the smoke gives him an escape route where he can get a quick kill and then safely back off and find a new position to play. Keep this golden rule in mind as well as angle advantage, and you'll find yourself winning way more gunfights. With that being said, we're going to move on to the standard positions to be playing on attack and defense. We'll start from the basics and then we'll go into advanced positions that will really take you to another level. Starting off on defense, you'll notice that for every map in Valorant, the A site tends to have bigger choke points in areas that it can be attacked from versus the B site, which tends to have choke points that are a lot tighter. Because of this, there are less points to focus on in B and more areas to watch for on A, so you should position your team as such. For most maps, you should have 2 to 3 players on A, 1 to 2 at mid, and 1 to 2 at B. Make sure that each player is positioned in a way so that each choke point is covered for and there is no way for the attackers to flank you. For example, on Ascent, you want 1 player positioned to cover A long and 1 player covering Cat, and from there you want 1 player to watch mid and 2 players positioned on different areas on B, such as spawn and close to site, to ensure that you have a crossfire that will prevent the attackers from hitting it. With each position though, remember to consider angle advantage. Try not to be too close to a wall or corner, as this will decrease your vision and make you an easier target to face. Moving on to the attacker side, when you're just starting off a round, you want to spread out and position your team around each choke point to ensure that each choke point is covered and that there isn't a possibility for your team to get flanked. This is called playing default and is very helpful for maintaining control of the map. Once you've secured control of these positions, you want to group up and take the information you've gathered to pick a site and attack it. There are usually multiple paths that you can come from to attack a site. For example, on Ascent, you can push onto A from Long and Cat, and therefore you should position 2 to 3 players each on those 2 spots before you decide to go for a push. Make sure that you do this. Many beginner players will only position themselves in one spot and push from only that one spot, and as a result, a simple slow or wall from the enemy can completely block off the attack and leave you in a very tight situation. So now that we've gone through the basics, let's go over more advanced tips for positioning. The first tip is to make sure to adapt your positioning based off of enemy habits. No matter how hard a player tries, they have habits that they unconsciously will do until it doesn't work. For example, let's say you're defending close to the choke points on A site on Ascent, and the enemy team has constantly been rushing you and taking you out, and as a result, you have lost A for multiple rounds in a row. GG, right? Not quite. If the close range positions were not working and enemies have started to identify where you've been playing, you can adapt by playing a newer, more unexpected position that can potentially throw them off. If you've been playing close all game, it may be time to back things up and play closer to Cat, inside sight, or up at Haven on Ascent. The advantage of these longer range positions is that you'll be able to still hear the enemies pushing you, but you'll be further away where you can throw your abilities to slow them down or grab a quick peek and then have somewhere to back away. The main point here is if you're trying a position and it hasn't been working, the enemy team has been constantly pushing you there, you want to switch things up. Start playing closer, start playing further back, keep the enemies guessing so that they can't easily peek your position each round. One more tip you can add on in this situation is stacking a site if the normal setup isn't working. If the team is hard rushing B every round, then it'd be worthwhile to bring another player over there at the start of each round to have that extra body and backup to prevent the rush. This player can help add firepower and create crossfire setups that'll give you a good chance of stopping the push. Once the rush is over, you can then go back into the standard positions that we mentioned earlier. Following up with our previous tip, you want to switch positions every 3 to 4 rounds. This is especially true if you've been playing a position for a while and the enemy has seen you in that position previously. Even if this position has been working for you, the enemy team may start to catch on to where you're playing and will know where they need to position themselves in the next round and use their abilities to overwhelm and kill you. To put this into perspective, let's say you've been playing mid on Ascent and have been positioning yourself to peek Cat every round. If the enemy is smart and adapts to your position, they'll know to flash you prior to peeking and you'd be dead. So you can play this initial position for 1 to 2 rounds if it's working, then from there you can adjust your position just a touch by playing slightly back into market the rounds after. Remember again, in each position we want to consider angle advantage, so stay a little bit further back from the wall in front of you to ensure that you can see as much as possible. This simple switch can be all it takes to throw the enemies off guard and make them peek a little more ambitiously and result in another easy pick for you. So the general rule, if the position is working really well, you're killing everyone with it, barely taking any damage, then keep doing it. But if the enemy has figured you out and is well prepared to challenge that position, and they've taken you out or done significant damage to your health, you want to reposition to a new location. If you watch professional players, you will see that they switch their positions quite often, sometimes even on every round, to make sure their location is never clearly known. You can see Tens from Cloud9 doing this while playing on B site on Bind. It's 1-4 and he starts off opping at B long for the first time and is able to jiggle peek and grab a kill onto the arena, and then followed by an astronomical flick onto the enemy Sage. This is a pretty common position for oppers to play and can make for some initial easy picks onto enemies, but if you repeatedly play this position, the enemy will eventually find ways to counter you. So after playing B long for a couple of rounds, it's now 4-6 and Tens begins to switch things up by positioning himself over at B short now. He pushes pretty aggressively here, and this surprises the enemy Cypher. The Cypher ends up in a really bad position due to this change in op location and puts himself in a spot with nowhere to escape from. He inevitably tries to back away, but Tens already has him locked down and grabs an easy kill. As you can see, a simple change in position here was all it took to outplay the enemy. Now that we've got the basic positions down and an idea of when you should change up your position, let's talk about off angles. On each map, there are standard common positions that you can play. Let's go over this on B site Haven first. The common positions that players will defend from is the left and right sides of door or A or C connector. These are positions that attackers will likely suspect you to be in, and because of this, they will usually pre-aim and check these positions with their crosshair. If they perform this correctly and know that you've been playing one of those positions, you'll end up in a disadvantageous duel because the enemy knows where you are, but you don't know exactly when the enemy will peek and challenge you. In terms of timing, you'll be less capable of reacting to their peek and you'll likely lose the fight. So once these standard positions start to no longer work, you want to begin implementing off angles. An off angle is similar to those standard positions, but you're moving slightly to the side of those spots that you were originally going to play in. This change can catch enemies off guard and force them to have to adjust their crosshair from those standard positions they're used to peeking. And that adjustment gives you extra time to kill them. A simple example of this is, let's say you've been playing C connector every round and the enemy has been pre-aiming you there and killing you. What you can do is still play around C connector, but play slightly further back towards the site or play closer into doors. These are positions that the enemies are less likely to pre-aim, and as a result, you'll be able to surprise them and kill them as they're trying to adjust their aim onto you. Off angles aren't just for defender side though. You can also use these angles on the attacker side to punish a defender that has been consistently pushing too hard past the site, or if you planted the spike on A site, you can use them to catch a defender off guard as they're trying to play retake. To give you another example, we have Tens again playing an off angle on A long. He pushes towards the left wall and hugs it with the op. This is an angle that most players won't be expecting, and you can see that the enemy Sova was not aware of this play at all, and he gets annihilated. From here, he tries to get really fancy with his positioning, using his ult and pushing aggressively in. Personally, I think this was a bit much and a little unnecessary, and he could have just used Jet's dash to back up to the site, but since it's Tens we're talking about here, he ends up still grabbing another operator kill before going down. But again, that initial kill onto Sova was possible due to the off angle that Tens played. That's all we have for this video, so what site do you usually play in Valorant? Let us know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get more premium guides just like this one with one goal in mind, helping you become a better player. We here at SkillCapped want to thank you for watching. We'll catch you in the next video, and good luck out there.